Hi everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time here. Alright, this one I did on Legion brand Yupo, and I used Ranger ink colors, slate gray, moss, oh excuse me, and currant. my head went blank there for a second. Oh, all right. I also used 99% alcohol and pinata brass. That's what's in the other little needle nose bottle. It's not mixed with anything, just plain brass. And I use my Revlon brand curling brush hair dryer with the brush attachment removed, and I use it on the cool setting unless I just need to go ahead and get an area dry a little quicker. And then I'll flip it over to the heat for just a minute. Now, I decided to do this one on Yupo because I wanted the staining that I knew I would get from the currant and the slate gray. Now, I hadn't used moss on Yupo before, so I wasn't sure if that would give me any staining or not, but I just wanted that sort of extra layer of color that I know that the slate and the currant both have a tendency to stain blue on the Yupo, and it just looks really neat. It gives an extra depth, kind of something to it when you've got that under layer of color that you can get from that staining. Now, I don't always want that, but I did on this one, so that was the reason that I decided to go ahead and go with the Yupo paper. I just chose these colors mostly because I hadn't used them together before. Was trying to find a different color combination. I feel like I get stuck in a rut a lot of times with the colors, and so I was trying to find something a little different. Also, those of you who've watched me before will notice that I put down some alcohol first this time. Now, I don't generally do that. It doesn't really make a lot of difference unless you're going to be putting down quite a bit of alcohol. And then your inks will sort of start flowing and moving on your surface before you actually apply any air to them. But I did want to do that on the Yupo because it will help to keep it from staining in that one little spot where you drop your alcohol. If you drop your ink, if you drop your ink first, then the drop or two of ink that you put down, it's going to stain the darkest right there. And I just didn't really want, to have polka dots of the ink around. So, I do prefer to kind of put a little alcohol down first when I can remember to do it when I'm working on Yupo. Sometimes I just get caught up in what I'm doing and forget. So, I just, was really careful about my blending, and you'll see that as I'm going through here, I did not try to soften or make my edges wispy yet around. I wanted to sort of just block in the shape that I wanted, get my colors in where I wanted them, and then go back in and do my my wisping, I guess you want to call it, around the edges. So that's what I was working on right here. And I also, you can see from the finished picture that was at the beginning, once I got done with this, it just needed something, and I had gone really light on the brass on this one. I think had I used more brass in it, I might not have felt like it was just kind of bland and needed something to it, but I did feel like it needed some sort of pop of color or something. So I did go in, and you'll see that in just a few minutes, I'm done with the painting part of it. But I did go in and use diamond glaze glue and some crushed glass, some gold colored crushed glass, and just sort of outlined some of the veins where the brass was, and sometimes just where some of the heavier veins of paint or ink were. But I outlined that with using the diamond glaze in a needle nose bottle, and then poured the crushed glass over it, and just I let that sit for a few hours. Diamond glaze dries pretty quickly, but I just left it because I had other things to do. So I'm not sure exactly how long I needed to leave it. So I don't know what to tell you there, but it was probably a good 2.5 to 3 hours before I was able to get back to it to dump the crushed glass off of it. But we'll get there in a few minutes. I just did want to go ahead and mention that, partially because at the moment I don't really know what to tell you about what I'm doing here, other than just looking at it and trying to decide where I want, which color to go, what needs a certain color to sort of balance it out. I did try to be really careful with my blending of these colors. I didn't want, sharp delineations between the colors. I wanted to have them sort of softly blended together, at least as much as possible. So I would kind of do like a quick swipe, I don't know what to call it, blow the alcohol and the ink over another color, and then blow it off, pretty much trying to continually blow it the same direction for just a minute while I'm blowing it off, and not letting it blow back over that color. You can see right here kind of what I'm talking about. I tried not to do too much of letting it get back down into the color I was blending it into. I hope I'm making some sense. It's getting late. My brain's already gone to sleep on me. So because I wanted a gradient of color rather than having, sort of blobs. That sounds ugly, but I mean, I don't know what, I didn't want sharp delineation between my colors. Didn't want blobs of different color just sitting next to each other. Wanted them to blend together, have that nice gradient going in there. Wow, I'm sort of just tired and out of it. I'm sorry. I can't think. I know I've got all kinds of questions that I need to be answering from you guys on on my comments from other videos, and I just have not gotten to get to those. I just feel very overwhelmed right now with life. I've been babysitting our baby granddaughter, who is now 4.5 months old. So I've been babysitting her since our daughter went back to work. Plus, homeschooling, raising and homeschooling our son's 2 daughters. That just is really, that's keeping me busy. I feel like my house is a disaster area these days. It's not getting cleaned at all. And we somehow keep getting more and more baby stuff everywhere all the time. So, all right, I know. Most of y'all don't even want to hear about that. Sorry. That was my long-winded apology for not answering comments and questions. And I'm really sorry, and I'm going to try to get back to that. I may not have a chance to go all the way back and get all of them that I have missed. So if you have a question that you can't find answered in one of my videos, send me another comment and I will do my best to get it, because sometimes they get lost when they get so far back. And if you've commented under another comment, for some reason YouTube doesn't always notify me. So it may be that I just haven't seen it also. All right, so here's where I started softening up the edges, kind of wisping it there. And I tried to put my alcohol down mostly right near the edge of my initial ink puddle. Now you can really start to see here as I'm blowing the ink back in, the color that's left behind by the ink, where that Yupo paper just absorbs some of whatever dyes are in the ink, only certain colors of it get absorbed by the Yupo. And so it does change the color of your ink that's still moving, and then it stains a different color underneath. So, like if you're using say a color like eggplant, which is a purplish color, eggplant stains blue, and if you keep working with that particular drop of eggplant long enough, it will fade into basically nothing but kind of a pink color, a reddish pink color. It pretty much sucks all the blue out of it into the paper. So, and that's the way all these will do. If you work with them long enough and keep spreading and working one specific spot, the more you work it, the more you see that separation of color on Yupo. Now, that does not happen on the other synthetic art papers like Nara and Graphics. The Graphics Durabrite and the Graphics Opaque White Craft Plastic, neither of those stain the way that Yupo does. So those are the ones that are my go-to papers when I don't want the staining. But like I said, sometimes I do, because it just kind of adds a depth to it that you don't get otherwise. Let's see. All right, so put my alcohol down around the outer edge. I'd kind of move the ink out just a touch and then start pushing it back in, because if you leave it out there, and I've said this several times, I know some of y'all are probably getting tired of hearing it, but if you leave your ink out there without alcohol behind it, you're going to get that sharp edge like it is before I start wisping it. You're going to have that definite delineation between color and white on your paper. And you're not going to have that soft edge, the wispy looking edges, which is, my favorite thing. That's the thing that made me fall in love with alcohol inks to start with, made me want to learn it, was seeing a painting that had those really soft, wispy edges. And I was just bound and determined to learn to do that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a question or two that I've had lately, and I can't. I know I have had questions every video I post. I have questions about what I'm using as my air source. So, and I already told y'all that now. The Revlon hair dryer. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I probably should have waited until another time to do this, but I actually just had a little bit of free time and thought, ooh, maybe I better go do this right now. Got one of our granddaughters is visiting their parents, and the other one is upstairs watching YouTube videos herself. So it seemed like a good time with some peace and quiet to be able to get this done, because I know it gets frustrating for you all when you're waiting and waiting to have a video come out and it just never comes out. I know my upload schedule is, well, I don't have a schedule. I just am really sorry that everything is so crazy with me being able to have time to paint. I have not had time to even paint in almost a month now. So I will try my best to do better. I don't want to paint when the baby's in the house. She's just so little. While I'm not concerned about the rest of us, because the girls stay in the other room and I have vent fan in the ceiling and all this, it's still, she's just little. At just being barely over 4 months old, I just don't like the thought of having the isopropyl fumes in the house, because I have to keep her close enough to me, to be able to hear her if she cries. So that really cuts down on my my painting time as well. But I have loved every second of it. She's such a sweetie. We are having a fantastic time with her. All right, so you can already see here that it's already looking kind of bland. I mean, it's very pretty, and these three colors go together so, so good. I just absolutely loved the way the colors looked when I got finished with it. It was just that it really needed something to kind of pull it all together. That was what, gave me the idea to, to put something else on it. I had thought about just doing some gold leafing, a little gold foil or something along the veins, but I had this crushed glass here and hadn't used it for anything. So I thought about that and thought, oh, well, I'll try it on this and see how it looks, because I hadn't done anything. Like, the only thing I've used any color of crushed glass on before was the geode, the alcohol ink geode painting that I did. And so I thought, well, this would be a good time to try to see what kind of veining I could do using the diamond glaze and the gold colored crushed glass that I had. So there you can see, it's really pretty. The colors, look really good, but it just really needed something. This was just me just getting a little spot or two of it. Hey, look, my hat matches the painting. I hadn't even noticed that. It goes really well with that painting. I was just cleaning up a couple of spots where some of the brass will leave a little sort of ring out there by itself. All the ink goes in and the brass is still just in a little thin ring out at the edge, and was just trying to get a little of that off. Alright, so here's where I start with the diamond glaze, and I did speed this up just so this wouldn't be a massively long video. This is not something that you all even needed to see slowed down anyway. I just put the diamond glaze in that needle nose bottle so I could get a very fine line with it, and then just chose some of these veins, you can see, and just ran it out along the veins, kind of tried to follow the natural movement of the alcohol inks. Wherever the ink had left its own little marks and lines, I just tried to choose some of those and follow those with the diamond glaze to put the crushed glass on. And I will try to remember to put the links to the diamond glaze and the crushed glass in the description box below. If you just click on the video title, it should open up the description box for you, and I'll try to remember to put those in there for you all. I can put in like the Legion Yupo paper as well, but you can find almost all of the supplies that I use for pretty much anything. If you click on that Amazon, I can't remember what it's called now. It's an Amazon storefront link that is my affiliate link to Amazon. And I tried to categorize some of the stuff in there. So there you go. I just put that on, let it sit, dumped it off, saved it for later, obviously. Way too much to, not do something with it. But I was really, really happy with the way this turned out. Wasn't sure if I was going to like it because I knew it was going to be a little 3D and a little bit thicker. I'm thinking about, and I should have done this first actually, but I'm thinking about mounting it to a wooden cradle board and then resining over it. And what I should have done was mounted the painting before I put the crushed glass on it, because that is going to make it a little trickier to mount it on there. All right, well, we have made it to the end of another one. I thank y'all so much for watching, subscribing. Those of you who've used my affiliate links, I really, really appreciate it. And I will be back with y'all just as soon as I possibly can. Love you all. Have a great day. Bye.